There are so many cases, people in Bhima Koregaon, people in the Delhi riots cases are languishing in jail without the trial even having begun for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, etc. That there is virtually 99% people who eventually come to be acquitted. Only 1%, but they come to be acquitted after 10 years, 12 years, 15 years in jail. That those police officers who foisted and their political bosses who made them foist that case, they should be held accountable, which means that they should be made to pay exemplary damages from their pockets. Proper independent judicial accountability commission or a judicial complaints commission where such complaints against judicial misbehavior or judicial misconduct could be lodged, and those judges should be held accountable for this kind of thing. And it shows that at every stage of his life he got involved with movements against state repression. Of course, it's the state and corporate nexus which has produced that kind of repression, and the most violent and the worst kind of repression at all times. And it requires a great deal of courage. That's why I said that his life is an example of courage and humanism, where he saw what was really the most oppressive and repressive things going on in society, who were responsible for that. It took great courage to stand up against that and raise your voice against that. And he did it against such odds, especially his physical disability. So it's a kind of life that comes few and far between, and it's the kind of life that injects courage and humanism in society. And I hope that I do think that his life's example has injected that kind of humanism and courage in our society. His own story of his incarceration and thereafter the kind of treatment meted out to him in jail itself exemplifies all that he was fighting for. He was, or what he was fighting against. He was fighting against precisely this kind of thing, where the state, just because he was raising his voice against this kind of repression, therefore the state came after him, foisted a false case on him. The judicial process went on, and even after he was acquitted the first time, it was by the High Court, after many years in jail, it was stayed on a Saturday by the Supreme Court, and he had to continue in jail until he was finally acquitted on merits by a more detailed judgment after a couple of years, and only thereafter he was released. But during that time in jail, what he suffered physically, he didn't die because of this operation or some complications due to the operation. Those complications, that operation was occasioned by the kind of treatment that he had been given in 10 years in the jail, or 10, 11 years. And the complications also were on account of all that. So he was not, it's not a case of a natural death. It's a case of his being killed by the state and by the judiciary. Now, I have always said that there are so many cases, people in Bhima Koregaon, people in the Delhi riots cases are languishing in jail without the trial even having begun for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, etc. And we have found that the record in such kind of cases is that there is virtually 99% people who eventually come to be acquitted. Only 1%, but they come to be acquitted after 10 years, 12 years, 15 years in jail. And unfortunately, even when the case is found to be totally mala fide and totally false, and fabricated, even then the people who have fabricated that case or foisted that case are not made to suffer any consequences. And of course the judges, in my view, there has to be accountability both of the police and the state as well as of the judiciary for this kind of thing. Now of course I can understand that no judge can be blamed for delays, etc., which are virtually endemic in our system. But a judge can certainly be blamed for what happened on that Saturday, when two Supreme Court judges sat on a Saturday and stayed his acquittal and prevented him from coming out. Now, I have always been of the view that in all such cases where there is eventual acquittal, quite apart from the reforms that are needed in our police agencies or in our judiciary, the minimum that is necessary even in this present system is that when a person comes to be acquitted, it should be incumbent on the judge to record a finding whether his acquittal was on account of a false case being deliberately foisted on him, or whether it is on account of just failure of justice due to witnesses turning hostile, etc. So it could be a bona fide case which has fallen through, or it could be a mala fide case which was foisted and that's why it has fallen through. If it's a mala fide case which has been foisted on somebody, I feel that it is essential that those police officers who foisted and their political bosses who made them foist that case, they should be held accountable, which means that they should be made to pay exemplary damages from their pockets to the person and or to the family of the person who has been so incarcerated for such long period and made to suffer for such long periods of time. But what about judges? Ultimately the judiciary can hold the police and the executive accountable, and they should be doing that. Unfortunately they have not been doing that. But what happens when the judiciary itself, again, as I say, there can be an error of judgment, or there can be sometimes orders which are not mere errors of judgment, which are either ideological in nature or which are mala fide in nature. And if it is found that there are judgments rendered by judges which are mala fide in nature, or so grossly irresponsible, then I feel that the judges also should be held accountable. But the question is, who is to hold the judges accountable? And that's why we have been saying that there needs to be a proper independent judicial accountability commission or a judicial complaints commission where such complaints against judicial misbehavior or judicial misconduct could be lodged, and those judges should be held accountable for this kind of thing. So, of course, as I said, Sai Baba's life is an inspiration for all of us. It's an inspiration for humanism and courage. But we also simultaneously need to work towards and agitate for systemic reforms within the police agencies, within our laws, these draconian laws like UAPA, PMLA, etc., systemic reforms in the judiciary, and apart from that, specific accountability for police officers and including judges. Of course, for judges we will need to have judicial reforms to bring in a judicial accountability commission. But certainly for police officers, it's incumbent on the courts to render a finding as to whether the case was mala fide, and if it was found to be so, then hold those police officers and their political bosses accountable. So I believe that Sai Baba, even in Sai Baba's death, his spirit lives on, and his spirit continues to inspire all of us towards what he exemplified, which is humanism and courage. Thank you very much.
नेशनल दस्तक की आपसे गुजारिश है कि अगर इसको बचाना चाहते हैं तो नेशनल दस्तक को सब्सक्राइब करने के लिए रेड कलर के सब्सक्राइब बटन को दबाएं, फिर बेल आइकन की घंटी दबाएं। नेशनल दस्तक को बचाने के लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि हर खबर को शेयर करें, लाइक करें, कमेंट जरूर करें।